Good
Hi.
afternoon. We're talking prior to the actual live.
Yes.
So what's going on, Kerry?
Nothing. It's Wednesday, middle of the week.
You did the St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah, I
That
did
was
go to
2 weeks
that
ago
parade.
now. Is
Yeah.
it 2 weeks?
I think
Or
almost.
was it last week?
It wasn't last week, so yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I know. You lose kind of track of time.
It was fun.
So anyway, interesting week. Interesting beginning of the year because there's a lot of things going on. A lot of stuff going on. And I could see, if you have a comment, I know that the TikTok audience is kind of like, they're a lively bunch.
Yes.
So I think you could, if you have a question, please feel free to ask during the whole time of doing this. We'll try to answer it as best as we can, as quickly as we can, based on what we see. And last time, hey, Laylo said hi.
Hello, Layla.
Laylo.
Laylo.
It's Laylo.
Laylo.
Kind
Keep
of
it
like,
on the low.
keep it on the low. So, anyway, what we're going to be discussing today is what everybody, this is, the one thing I'm going to cover my comment section because sometimes you get distracted. Yeah, what you need for a house. What do you need for a house? I'm going to get into that in a minute because we're going to do the stats first locally, and then maybe we'll get to those questions. So give me a little bit. Watch through, comment as we go along if you have a question, because this is an interesting stat report.
Yeah.
You have some questions for me, and I think it's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. Well, let me just get a few little housekeeping things out of the way as far as what the general economy is doing. Fears this week that a recession was in play was obviously one of the things that was discussed amongst the pundits. The interesting thing is with all this Doge stuff, everybody's familiar with this, I guess, at this point, which is Department of Government Efficiency, which is, I hate to say that, that it will have some consequences to markets because of the amount of spending that was associated with that. It's likely to see, you can see impact the economy because it's government contracts, so there may be private sector work. It doesn't really show up kind of like as government contractors. It actually shows up as, the government contractors doesn't show up as government employees. And there's been a lot of layoffs in that sector. And some markets that are more more closer to like Washington, D.C. may experience a little bit of a downward cycle for a few reasons. But it's not the case here in this report, because this report that we have, this is the very volatile real estate market. And what people haven't talked about over the last year is how volatile it actually is, because there's price swings, the activity levels. I've really ranged month to month, week to week, and there's a big consequence. People they try to time this out, and it doesn't usually play out anyway. Everybody's like, oh, if we time this right and we do it in the spring, well, it's just, there's no real timing that's best. It's very difficult to time unless you use us, of course, because we do stats and we know everything there is to know.
Yes.
About what to do next.
Yeah, we do.
Back and forth.
But
the big thing is that we're seeing prices on the acceleration again. The rates have come down, but oddly enough, prices have come up month over month. So this is for February, correct? These are February's numbers.
Yes.
We're in March. So prices have come up, at least in the last report. And based on a lot of the activity, Mortgage Bankers Association came out this week and said there's 11% uptick in new mortgage applications. although it's close to what it was last year, it's maybe a smidge lower. So there are buyers now starting to get mortgages, new buyers coming into the market that are starting. That's from the Mortgage Bankers Association weekly report on mortgages, mortgage originations. This is not refinance. This is for new purchase. Across the board, they were up, but they were up considerably this past week because the mortgage rates have fallen for 4 consecutive weeks in a row, bringing it to a 6-month low in terms of mortgages. I wouldn't be surprised if we go under 6 again. It's kind of similar scenario played out last year. But let's get into the numbers now because there's some individual numbers that we need to look at. And we'll see what you have for me.
Yes. So I am starting with the days on the market. The days on the market have decreased almost 12% year over year, but has increased month over month about 17%.
That's one of the oddities in this report. The average days on the market went from 65 in January to 76 in February, with a 16% increase. That's a little bit of a leading indicator. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's a sign that maybe things have kind of slowed down. But the other numbers are not indicative of that, even in some of the other leading indicators. Leading indicators mean that these are things that we look for in terms of where prices may go. Because when we do stats and you listen to stats, what you want to pay attention to is not the average sale price as being the indicator of where your house is going to be. That's usually in New Jersey, it's maybe 45 days. In New York, it's probably closer to 85, 90 days. I mean, in a lot of instances. So I do think that we have some considerable. That's definitely a notable increase in the days of markets. I mean, it's down year over year. It was 86 last February. It's 76 this year, so it's down 11% year over year. So some of that's seasonal. And again, we kind of had a little bit of a cold snap for February, right? It was pretty brutal February.
Yeah.
And I think that across the nation, I read a report that said pending home sales were down to the lowest level since 1995. Anybody wants to say about this real estate market, the real estate market is very contained and very isolated, different from real estate markets in the past. So you have a very small segment of we talk about real estate, it's kind of, we're not talking about like a volume market. So this is a lot different than what I used to in the past. So anyway, let's on to the next.
The month's inventory. So the month's inventory has decreased year over year almost 32%, but has increased month over month 22%.
Yeah, the year over year difference in months inventory, so we're down to 4 months. Just to think that it was starting to change as of last February. So 6 months is usually the benchmark we look for to say it's a buyer's or seller's market. It was almost even last year. At 6 months, there was 6 months of inventory last year, according to the data. We're down to 4, which is a good leading indicator, but there's some other things in here that are also pointing to what's going on. Because although sales volumes were up, so it means that there was, I think, as we go on to the report, we'll talk about total sales, but the volume of actual sales is up, but the month's inventory has decreased year over year. I didn't realize it was up that high from a year ago. That's quite substantial. Yeah. 6 months. So we look unlike, and you know what the funny thing is? Even 6 months ago, the average sale to list price was down to 96.5.
96.5?
And the sale to list price ratio.
Oh, yes.
That's like blaring. That's like, when you look at it from that perspective, I haven't seen a 96 in a while. It's been 97. So last February is pretty brutal. Last February was brutal. Yeah. There was only 210 sales last February. Every February is bad. Just to give you, I've been doing this for, it's 19 years. So back in like the Great Recession, around 2010 was like the bottom. This is the amount of sold listings for February at 210 is probably somewhere from last year was very low. Wow. I mean, not that it's great this year either. 253 is not exactly, you're not exactly hitting home runs here, but it's just to think that at one time it was closer to 500 and change.
Yeah.
I think during the heat of the market it was at 400. Oh, that's somebody walking.
Oh.
I was like, ooh, that was a little odd.
Yeah.
So I do think that what we're talking about at the end of the day is the market's kind of rebounded a bit. I think from a year ago.
Yes. So the sold medium listings are up year over year 10%, and they are up almost 2% month over month. Sold medium
The
listings.
sold median listing price. This is what when the house was actually sold, what the list price was. So it's again still continuing its climb. We're at 740,000. Oof, that's not going to be. So the average sold median listing price at the sale was 740. Nothing too that goes along with everything else. This market, but it was. We're talking a considerable amount from a year ago, right? I mean, the yearly 10% difference from a year ago, the sold median listing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
It's definitely no month over month is also jumped. So people are still, and the rates are pretty high. So I mean, either people are finding a new norm, or they're still just continuing to move even at these prices. And it looks like, and that's one of these things about this Staten Island market. It's a suburban market that everybody kind of is very drawn to. So again, um, but you go to the next one, right? What's the next one? The pending average listing now is down 10%.
Month over month, yeah.
Month over month. This is the co-op effect.
Oh.
We talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Co-ops usually range in maybe in the 150 to 250 range here locally. That's been the market that is really picked up over the last year. It was not the hottest of markets to be involved in cars, but now I think as people kind of realize that this market is not changing for the lower, and I'll be the first one to say that I did for a period of time believe we were heading in another direction with the real estate market, but that kind of hasn't happened price wise. So for the people who are buying, there doesn't look like anything here that's suggesting that waiting is actually going to pan out. And there's a lot of things that suggest that. As we go through these numbers, it doesn't spell relief in sight for like affordability. You know, and I believe based on everything that's happened now, I do see like we've seen houses that haven't upticked as much start to uptick in price just in the past week. And because like I said, there was a jump in the amount of mortgage applications. And I'm going to tell you this again: we are multiple offer situations on a number of houses. Again, if you like something, you're going to likely. There's a rule of thumb. I'm just telling you: if you like it, somebody else does at that price, you're going to have to come in very close to list, or sometimes still, in some cases, over. Just use that as a rule of thumb. If you really like a house at the price it's listed at, chances are somebody else does too. And that should always be the consideration when you talk about whether to purchase, what type of offer you're going to make, because I always say it always seems to be a thing in real estate that everybody kind of likes the same house. It's like high school. Everybody likes the same person.
Yeah.
But there's only one of them.
Yeah. That's a good comparison.
Yeah. Did you ever have that scenario? Put you on the spot?
No.
No, she always gonna say no. I was kind of expecting that, but anyway. Go ahead. What's next?
The next is the new average listing.
Hmm.
New average listing has increased 12% year over year, but has decreased almost 5% month over month.
Yes, the prices of houses going on the market are 12% higher than they were a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the month over month difference is lower, I would suggest that. I mean, that's hard. It's a hard read on that because of the volume that's of houses that go up. This could be skewed. The data is not great on this. I would not put too much weight on this to be fair, but a lot of it has to do with co-ops. I think in the last month, the month over month difference has been quite substantial. But I have to look into that number a little bit more. Why that continues to be like this? We've said it before, the divergence about where people's expectations are versus what the market's doing. This isn't actually that far off now. Again, New Jersey was starting to change a little bit. New Jersey's numbers came in a little bit weaker last month than they did this month. When we did the last report, we'll be doing that next week. So
Yes.
we'll see what holds for that, if it's changed any. But yeah, let's get on to the next one because I don't think we got much out of that.
The sold average sale. Sold average sale, it has increased year over year 9% and also has increased month over month 1%.
Yeah, that's a substantial leap. So we're 9% higher. I'm going to do so. I know you're probably going to go sold median sale price next, but let's do them together because
Okay.
it just makes sense to do it that way.
Okay.
So it's 9 and 11% is a sold median. That's a jump. 11% again is, and why it's considered. Now I want you to just kind of give the home buyer the scenario that we're talking about when we talk about 11% gain in month over month sold median year over year sold median sale price. If the sold median sale price is up 11% and you're saving money that's working against you in a scenario like this. This is why it's like a lot of people wait for something to kind of happen, whether it's affordability, like coming down or maybe coming more in your favor. The problem is that I do expect that any change in mortgage rates is going to change price, and you have to be ready to jump because I just there's nothing here that suggests that we're in an active decline. There's none of the early indicators at this point. We're going into the spring months. It's looking stronger and stronger over these last two reports from a year ago. So things are kind of more on the upswing than they were just a few months ago. And there's nothing in here that indicates that that's going to change any. I do recommend people to make sure, guys, don't go into the thing. I know some people will like look at days on the market and say, well, nobody wants this house and why should I want it? These are maybe your opportunities to look through inventory. And I always said this, it doesn't hurt to put in an offer you think it's worth than it is to pass it up because you just don't know. Sometimes we deal with this all the time. Well, if they really want to make an offer, let them make the offer. I mean, it's not the best strategy in the world, but in some cases they're much more flexible. So you can look a little bit deeper and not say, oh, well, this is on my price range. There may be something in there that will negotiate based on other factors. It's worth a look because why, and this is why sellers kind of make the mistake is that the more offers someone gets, the likelier you're driving the price than kind of waiting for like lower offers than your list price to kind of offset that. You really want to look at some things that may have been on the market for a while. Not necessarily a price reduction, but price reductions do bring more buyers. But I don't know what it is, and this is why search when people use search bars, you miss a lot of things. And like there's opportunities in the market that may not present themselves in terms of list price numbers, but you'll go into these platforms like Zillow and you'll kind of find a price bracket which you're willing to spend, and maybe a few 50,000 or so over. You go, but sometimes these things are 75 over. You may want to include those in your search because depending on how many days on the market and the advice you're getting from a real estate person, you really will know. Like, is this a place you can make an offer that's maybe a little bit lower? Sometimes it's worth a shot, and it shouldn't dissuade you. So that's something an experienced real estate person is going to help you understand. If everybody's going to help you understand, but you should be asking that question. Is there anything in the market that may be on the market for a while, maybe a little bit priced out of where we are, but has seen like maybe they are willing to negotiate. So it's worth a shot in a low inventory market. I'll tell you that, because most of the other stuff will be you're going multiple bids, very very likely. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So the next thing we have is the active listings.
Yes.
Active listings has decreased year over year almost 18% and has decreased month over month 3%.
Yeah.
So it's at 1,076 active listings.
Am I reading that correct? It says pending listings are down 23%.
Yes.
Month over month?
Yep.
Is that even possible?
How?
I don't know. That's a big, whoa. Okay.
Well, the sold listings are down also 20%.
February's typically a slower month than usual. So, but when I look month over month, that's pretty steep. Okay, so I'm sorry. As I read these reports, sometimes I gotta dissect what I'm reading, and I usually go on before and I look at this. This kind of hit me with a little bit of a curveball. So new listing, active listings are down 17% year over year.
Mm-hmm.
There you have it. People aren't moving. You got fewer choices. You're only down to 1,076 houses that are active, and if you just the MLS, this is an MLS data sheet from our local, from Staten Island Board of Realtors, which covers more than just Staten Island. So I wouldn't even put this at maybe 800 houses active right now. Active. I'm not sure if this covers even accepted offers, but that is very, very, very low.
Yeah.
One of the lowest we've seen here. Last year was at 1,300. This year it's almost a full 225 less, 210 or so less than last year. So they're not there. So you're not finding exactly what you're looking for. But you can find it. You just have to get the right person to do it for you. I'm going to tell you that right now. Somebody's asking a question. New York is expensive. Okay. I don't know the glasses. Is New York expensive? What do you think? Did you just knock it over?
I almost did, and I had to stop it.
Someone loves your glasses.
Oh, thank you.
I wish you would see the plant more so she would knock it over. But anyway, yes. Do you like your glasses?
Yeah, I like my glasses.
Okay.
I do want new ones. I've had these for...
I did too. I was supposed to get new glasses like 8 months ago. And it's a pain in the neck to get new glasses.
It is.
It really is. Insurance is a pain in the neck. But I'm going blind slowly.
I'm already blind.
Are you?
Yeah, I have really bad eyesight.
So she basically, if she didn't have her glasses on, she basically, would you be considered like almost?
Legally?
Yeah.
No, not yet, at least.
Who has bad eyes in your family?
My grandmother did.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was
not to
legally
put you on the
blind.
spot, like
No, yeah, she was legally blind. My grandmother.
really.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Okay,
probably where it's from. Yeah,
those eyes.
I know. My parents keep telling me to get LASIK, but I'm too scared to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
would it help?
it would help, but I'm too scared to have something that close to my eyeball.
I mean, they put you. I think they put you out.
No, you're awake for it.
Oh,
I
can't you?
think.
Can't I think you? I don't think you have to be.
Ugh.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
Oh
I don't
my
think it's
god,
that bad. You're gonna have to
I
do
can't
it.
even imagine that.
She's not. She's very, 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 very. How do you say? Squeamish about being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And if it's not there, it's just. But I
yeah.
guess you have to continue. My eyesight's not. Is okay. I think the key to good eyesight though is your sugar.
Oh really?
Yeah, sugar is bad for your eyesight. So I'm gonna say it again. Stay away from those sugar treats because they're not good for your eyesight. Anyway,
I don't even eat that much sugar.
no,
I don't know.
I gotta ask a few people and find out. I can definitely find out.
Anyway.
Yes, that's the when you get the anyway, you know it's time to move on.
No. Yeah, so the pending sales.
Pending sales dropped, and I think yeah, pending listings are down 8% uh, year over year. That's hard to really give a gauge. I don't know how that's determined. That's not the case here. We have more
Oh, we
pending
betcha.
listings in the last few months, thank God, because
Yes.
it was just a very, very, very weird winter. Not the greatest, to be honest with you. It was a
Yeah.
very hot October. I mean, that's just my personal talking now. Very hot October. October was very hot. November, as the rates ticked up, it was just once they start getting into that, it's like close to sevens. Geez, the market really goes in the other direction. Really, really goes in the other direction. It's just one of those things. I can't tell you. One of those things that the market just is very interest rate sensitive. But I do think with this lower rate, if they tick down on the six, and there's a good possibility they do. I think, inflation numbers came out today, and they said that inflation is going to be down. It was down to like I think it was 2.7%, which is less than expectations. I believe it was like 2.9 was the expectation. It came in under that.
Wow.
So inflation isn't as quite as bad as it was uh, of the last report. The CPI numbers is every quarter, so I think last quarter was around 3. They were concerned about accelerating inflation. I don't think that's happening. Well, a lot because they took a big chunk of government spending out of that. I don't know how much is going to affect the economy because that's a big. I don't know what's going to happen with that, honestly. So many government employees lost their jobs in the last year, in the last few months. They really just went to town cutting big contracts. And those contracts pay out to people who are working. So there's definitely some cuts in there that are going to be, they're going to be profound. So we have to see how that plays out. That's going to be that's one of the, where do we go with kind of market? Because Wall Street hasn't fared well in the last week. And I think it's based on the tariff situation, which I do think is more of a smoke screen than is a reality. I think it's like a negotiation tactic. I don't think most of these go through. They try to renegotiate deals on the idea that something's going to happen. The markets aren't too thrilled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any stock picks?
No.
I try to get Kerry into stock picks.
I know you do.
That's going to be the next year's job for me
Yeah.
to get our portfolio. Um, so I mean, I think overall, to kind of sum this up, market looks. I got to tell you this for buyers, it's reaccelerating. You're going to see. You're not going to see. You're going to have to bid aggressively. If you want the house that you want, you're going to have to bid aggressively. And um, you know, a lot of people are waiting for the one to fall. Like, oh, it's gonna come on the market. There, just to remember, for every one that comes on the market, there's about 30 people ready to buy it, and that has to enter into the decision making process, because some people say, oh, there it is, that's the one. Let's run, go see it. And if you go in there, like it was, I hate to say this, if you like it that much, the same people, you're getting the same crowd. So I hate to say it, it's very difficult, but if you see it, be prepared to make the right bid. There's not much. There's not much in this report to suggest that you're going to get any breaks here. It's not. I mean, last year was the year to do it. The sale to list price ratio was 96.5. I haven't seen it that. That's. I just don't remember it being that bad last year at this time. Or maybe it was.
Mm.
Yeah, February. It's a little hazy, but February was. Shoosh. That was ugly. Oof.
Yeah.
Thank goodness the market didn't stay on that trajectory. We were almost in a buyer's market. 6.24 months of inventory. That's like 210 sales. That's the lowest I think I saw on. I think we did one report. I think the year before was like 196. It was like something really low. So it's ticked up and it continues to tick up. So we'll see. It's a wait and see. The numbers look like that.
I know. I'm sorry. I keep squeaking it.
If you hear the squeaking, that's her. Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there.
I'm always moving around.
Yes,
Sorry.
you're gonna get like one of those things, like the little pedals, like to kind of keep her feet moving while she's doing this. Sitting still is not the easiest thing.
No.
But when you're home and like watching TV, you probably sit still as well.
Yes, but it's like I always have to be doing something to like.
Like when you wake up in the morning, like is everything like scattered all over the place?
No.
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 Wow. Okay. Seem like the type when you wake up, pillows on the other side of the room, the blankets on the other side of the bed.
No, I always have to make my bed in the morning. And
Oh, you're such a good. That's so good. Make it. I don't know what that has to do with being messy. Whether you throw stuff off the bed while you're sleeping, but
no, I don't do that.
I'm like one of those people. It looks like I go into like a mad rage.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
no,
there's like I don't even think. I don't even forget it. I don't even want to say it. But anyway, yeah, some people are like scared to sleep like in the same room because I could get like
really?
crazy. Like
In the middle
I'm
of the
pretty
night?
calm. Yeah, like in my sleep, I have like I play baseball.
Oh my god.
You know, it's a weird thing.
What?
Sleepwalking is a very real thing.
Oh, you sleepwalk?
When I was younger, I did.
Wow.
It was strange.
That is weird.
When I was really young. And I was just like, I think a few times I wound up outside my house in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
The interesting thing is I caught my son doing it.
Oh. So he gets it from you.
He was younger. He would play baseball standing up, and I'd be talking to him like he's in a different state.
You thought he was awake, but he was sleeping?
He was sleeping, sitting up, and walking like downstairs to the refrigerator.
Oh my god, that's so.
It was weird.
That is so crazy.
People don't believe it's true. It is. It's a very true phenomena that I mean, we're obviously sleepwalking. We're not walking into the report, but sleepwalking is real. It's real. People think it's like, they're making it up.
Yeah, like how?
You could have a conversation. I was talking to him, and he was I wasn't even understanding. He wasn't even understanding what he said.
Oh, really?
Have you ever been in that state?
No, I don't think so.
Have you ever met anybody who was like, sleepwalking?
Mm-mm.
Spooky.
No, I don't know anybody.
They're totally detached from what's happening. Like they're literally in a different place. I'd be talking, be like, Dad, I'm in the middle of a game. Why are you talking to me now? I said, no, you're sitting at the edge of your bed.
That's so
And you
funny.
can't wake them up.
Why?
It's weird. Like I try to tap him on his face. I said, wake up, you know?
Oh
Like,
my
I'm in the middle of a
gosh.
game, Dad. Why are you here?
That is so crazy.
Yeah. But I had it. It's weird. It's a kind of strange phenomena. But anyway, that's what we have for the report with a little bit of chatter about sleepwalking.
Yeah, right.
The way I sleep is no matter, I don't really sleep anymore, so I'm always like, feel like I'm sleepwalking.
Yeah. You're always
Yeah.
working. You're sleep working.
Sleepwalking. That's it. Sleepwalking. Yes. But anyway, that's what we have for you guys. Let's see if there's any questions here. Is New York expensive? Yes, New York is expensive. Staten Island is not on the lower end of the expense range with the sold median sale price of $725,000 as of February 2025, which is I believe, a record high. Yep, it's a record high. And the new average listing is 832, 12% higher. So people are listing their houses higher and higher. It's not necessarily reflected in the prices, but it's up there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it won't be long before we're at the $1 million mark just to purchase a house.
Wow. I hope it's.
It's going to be like, they're going to do. No, I do think if inflation comes down a bit, that may, I do think it's all interest rate dependent. And it's all interest rate dependent.
Mm.
So if inflation accelerates, I mean, yes, you could easily see that. But that's what we have. We can go on and on. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them. Check out YouTube,
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Nextdoor, Twitter, well, X,
formerly Twitter.
formerly Twitter, LinkedIn, Threads. We have it all.
Yes, I've seen the list. I've seen the list. Anyway, that's what we have. Have a great, not weekend yet, but almost weekend. And it is Friday, right? This Friday, there's something. So
Yeah.
it's
Live
scheduled.
Friday, yes.
She's probably happy. I would probably maybe forget about it.
No.
Okay. That's how I know she's telling the truth. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll talk to you in a few days.
Yes.
Ciao.
See you.